This week on the Rochester Press Box from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant.
I'm Steve Hausmann from WBEE. Which pro athletes have it the softest? You might be surprised at who I think it is.
And I'm John Ditullio. I'll tell you why Penn State fans should thank Bill O'Brien.
I'm Mike Catalana. I'll tell you who will be must-see TV in the NFL next year.
And I'm Bill Pucko, rewriting the football rule book. Join us this weekend for the Rochester Press Box from Salvatore's at the Garage Door. The Rochester Press Box is brought to you by Salvatore's at the Garage Door on 49 Ridge Road East in Irondequoit. Rochester's Choice winner for Best Pizzeria, featuring Wacky Wing Wednesday, John Ditullio Trivia on Thursday, and the Super Slice. It's as big as your head. Games are always on at the Garage Door, home to the Rochester Press Box. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant. I'm Bill Pucko. I got to put in a plug for this place. It's a great place to watch football. It's a hardcore sports bar because they turn the audio up on the games. I mean, that's how you can separate.
Important.
They're not playing music, they're turning the audio up. John Ditullio,
Happy New Year, buddy.
WHTK, Happy New Year. Mike Catalana, how's that 10 o'clock news going?
Good, keeping me busy. More time for sports. Isn't that a good thing?
That's a good thing.
That's why I told
10,
my
11
buddies
o'clock.
with the Democrat and Chronicle, and they got them. I go, that's what I want to see. More time for sports, print, TV. We love it.
Steve Hausmann
No,
joins
yeah,
us.
I want more weather. More weather, come on.
Just from the V, who has good ratings news,
Yeah,
right?
we had a killer ratings book, and my buddy Newman says to say hi, and he told me to make sure I sit up straight all.
All right. And certainly, we'll take some of the credit for the ratings, having had you as a semi-regular on this program.
Love it when I'm here. Thanks for having me.
We've been talking about Halls of Fame. This being recorded on a Wednesday. It's the day of the vote of the Baseball Hall of Fame, and of course, we'll all know this by the time the weekend rolls around. But it brings me to Halls of Fame in general. They all do it differently. Who does it best, Steve?
Who does it best? I think the NFL. Sure, because they always guarantee there's going to be a few guys in there. I mean, last year, we were talking about this a little bit, Mike, how last year in baseball, how can you have no one inducted? But the NFL always makes sure that 4 or 5 guys get in every year. I think they do it right. They vote correctly. Baseball has it all wrong, I think.
Yeah, and the NFL has a much smaller committee.
Yeah, it's a committee basically of a guy from each city, and then there's a few national guys that are on it. They go in and they vote, and we see the process too. It gets pared down to the semifinalists and then the finalists. And I have to say, I was telling you guys, the way they actually pick the guys on the day before the Super Bowl it's exciting. I enjoy it. I've been there for it several times. They go alphabetically. No one really knows who's going to get in. But to Steve's point, somebody is getting in, and there's a minimum that get in. It's always great.
Which I think is a detriment. Like when you see guys like Chris Hanburger got in last year from the Redskins. I mean, I think the NFL allows just about anybody into their Hall of Fame. So I don't like the process. The one thing the NFL doesn't regard is morality for the most part. I mean, baseball sits on this high perch and this high horse of theirs, which bothers me. But I like what baseball, even though no one got in, I think when you get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, whether you're Don Sutton and you've waited for years, I think if you compare Hall of Fames, I think there's guys in Cooperstown that are more worthy than players that are in Canton.
Yeah,
I would disagree with that. I think the football one is more exclusive, and I think the football one, because
Fred Dean a Hall of Famer to you?
So much
I think it's
of
watered
the game.
down.
Boy, I tell you, I think it's tough to say it's watered down. You're talking about 53-man rosters. There's a lot of players that have played in the game.
Versus 9.
Well, there's 25 men on 12. It's a little bit of team, but of the 53, it's about the same when you look at impact players, 11 starters on offense and defense.
But it depends. It depends on how you want to look at guys. And statistics is such a big thing in baseball. It's very difficult to make it in baseball without having great numbers. In football, you're an offensive lineman. You have no numbers. And I think it's very, very difficult to make it in.
I think baseball was set on allowing nobody in on a unanimous vote. It's just like something they just want to beat their chest and stick their chest out.
The baseball is the writers. You have a writer who had a gripe with a great player in a locker room. They had an argument. The guy didn't cooperate in an interview. Yeah. That can sit in the back of your mind when it comes time to vote for that guy. And I think sometimes
it's not even in the back. Sometimes it's right there. I think all the way back to when Ted Williams didn't get an MVP because the writers didn't like him. Didn't like his attitude. And then you got Pete Rose, such a morality play. But Pete Rose, to me, it's always been a matter of timing. I don't much care whether he's in or out. But if they had waited another year to find Pete Rose was gambling, he'd have been in the Hall of Fame already, and they don't have the mechanism to take him out. So that was just luck. You know?
Next commissioner can, if he wants, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Alrighty. When we come back, we're going to talk a little college football and the dawning of a new era in 2014. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's Pizzeria, the historic Garage Door Restaurant, East Ridge Road in Irondequoit. We're at the dawn of a new era, I think, as far as college football goes. The playoffs come on, the BCS is gone. How much are you looking forward to the next college football
I couldn't wait for the BCS to form in '98 because of all the controversy we had, all the split national championships, and there were times when Nebraska and Michigan, who split the national championship, didn't even play for the national title. The BCS was better than what we had, and I think this Final Four, you're going to get complainers from the 5th and 6th ranked teams, but it's going to be better than the BCS. I think it's evolving. It's taken a lot of time, glacier-type movement here with college football, but I'm really looking forward to a Final Four and the amount of money that is going to generate for college football.
I think the BCS did its job. The time that it was there, it did a pretty good job.
I think a school like Alabama is going to be thrilled that you have a Final Four situation because it's not necessarily what have you done for me lately. It's more of a body of work, I think, too. So I look forward to the playoff.
Yeah, as long as it stays within a certain amount of teams. I think what you're going to find right away is 4 is not going to be right and it's going to go to 8. And I don't think it should be any more than that because if it gets to be bigger than 8, then the regular season starts to get to the point where things are watered down. But I think 4 teams is going to be good. I'm with John on that. But I think you'll see pretty quickly they're going to adjust and make it 8 teams, and it will be massive.
Unless we go to maybe 4, I think we could evolve the super conferences over time where they get so big where then they could go to a Final 8 or even a Sweet 16, so to speak.
Oh, we'll be playing football into March.
No, but you don't really have to, though.
No.
Because you can start playing the games earlier. You don't have to wait a month to play the championship.
And you looked up the money that was involved in just the TV deal, and they said you wondered. There were times, and it wasn't that long ago, he said, this will never happen. What took it so long?
Yeah, what ESPN is paying, how many billions of dollars? They have the rights to the Final Four.
It was amazing.
For the X amount of years, and they're generous. That's unbelievable. The money that they have, why it took them so long.
Can they call it the Final Four?
No, it's just going to be, I think it's going to be the
from
college
a
football
legality
playoff.
standpoint, are they going to come up with a clever name for it?
They came up with, the college football playoff?
Yeah.
I think that's
clever.
College football championship.
Yeah.
They hired a company to come up with that name.
Paid them a lot of money.
The SEC took a hit, though, don't you think, with Florida State winning the national championship? This is the SEC wins this, and you're going to 4 teams next year. You think the SEC is going to guarantee 2? Now it's a little more wide open. Everybody benefits.
I don't think the SEC took a hit at all.
No?
I think Auburn was very fortunate to get there with 2 somewhat miracle wins. I think most people believe Alabama was as good or better than them, and Auburn took Florida State to the max, and could have, maybe should have won the game. I think it just shows how great the SEC has been as the dominant conference, and they came that close.
They won
to winning
7
again.
out of the last 8 championships, and now you're in a Final Four. I will almost bet the next 10 years we'll get 1, if not 2, SEC teams in there every year. In the Final Four, I'm talking.
And though they didn't win the national championship, I think they were a winner in terms of every other aspect of the national championship game.
I like the fact that the ACC won it because that gives Syracuse a direct path to a national title in football.
Hey, Jameis Winston and Florida State coming to the Dome next year. A lot of people wondering, maybe they can actually sell out the Dome for a game next year. We really haven't done that in football,
long time.
but they'll get that opportunity next year.
All right, this is the home of Wacky Wings Wednesday, and there's live music here at the Garage Door every Friday. We'll be back with Like It or Not. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant. Like it or not, Johnny, go over here first. Charlie Strong getting the
I love it.
Texas job.
Red McCombs may not like it, one of the proud, ignorant boosters at Texas, but Charlie Strong is one of the best minds in college football. Not only one of the best defensive minds at Notre Dame and at South Carolina and at Florida. Okay, ask Urban Meyer how he did after Charlie Strong left Florida. The guy can recruit, and it's about time he got his job. Listen, 4 years at Louisville, finally got a big-time job. 4 years at Louisville, he can recruit, and he won. He won 23 games in the last 2 years at Louisville. He may have been the 8th selection of Texas, But I think they got a good hire.
And
Charlie
he's all right
Strong.
with that. Yeah, I'm not real proud of this, I think, but the first thing I thought of is when I saw that he was going to get this is Texas has hired an African-American head coach. This is a major step.
Yeah,
Is this
Red McCone sounded like a moron when he was saying that. I mean, obviously, because we're talking about a guy who, as John said, succeeded already as a coordinator, big-time program, national champ. And he says, what did he say? He may be a coordinator. No, he's already done that, and he's been a coach. I am a little concerned that a guy who doesn't appear to relate all that well media-wise, he did a little bit better this week, and doesn't appear to be big on boosters. It's Louisville. They're much more for basketball than they are for football. Is in for a bit of an awakening at Texas because they're delusional at Texas. They actually think they're on the verge of a national championship, and what are they, the third or fourth best team in the state right now?
You got to shake a lot of hands.
So that's the difference. There's a big room to go up. There's a lot of room to go up, but I don't think the fan base actually thinks that. I think they think they're on the edge of a championship.
Plus, there's no honeymoon period at Texas. You got to come out of the blocks right away.
Yeah, you win. I mean, Nick Saban doesn't have the best personality, not the most gregarious
You're
person.
right. That's a good comparison.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you win, the people come to you. You don't have to go to them.
Now, the next layer to this is this talk about Bobby Petrino going back to Louisville out of Western Kentucky. He's been there 2 years. Is 2 years enough for his indiscretions?
I would never hire Bobby Petrino. I think it's a shame that Louisville would even consider. They're just a bunch of sellouts that they would consider bringing him back.
My favorite thing in this, and there was a quote, and I tweeted it out. It was an old quote from Mike Zimmer, one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, guy at Cincinnati who should be a head coach, who was in Atlanta when Bobby Petrino quit.
Yep.
And he will refer to him as a coward, worthless, I will never work with him, doesn't back off from that at all. And I think that's what Bobby Petrino was. His indiscretions with the young woman, that's part of what makes Bobby Petrino a bad hire. The fact that he walked out on an NFL team with all his assistant coaches and everybody there was a real joke, and then turns right around as at Arkansas. I would never hire him again to be a head coach.
Like it or not, Mike, Jameis Winston's post-game tone.
Look, Jameis Winston was a 20-year-old guy who was very excited. I watched him post-game, and then I watched him in the news conference. I didn't particularly enjoy his post-game news conference. He was kind of all over the place. He started thanking God and everything else during the post-game. He came through at the end. He made some nice plays. He certainly got a lot of help on that last drive. He was very excited. I'm not going to hold a post-game news conference against him. Look, if you held the way some people are publicly against them, we would think Bill Belichick is a moron, and we know that's not the case. He comes across like a dope in his news conferences, but we know the guy is brilliant. I'm not holding that against him. Exuberant he was, a little all over the place with some of the way he phrased things. But that, to me, is the least of things I would look at with him. I think
About the only quarterback he didn't compare himself to was Steve Grogan. I mean, let's an out goodie. Score the point.
All right. Look, the thing, though, when you look at Tom Brady, look at Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, E.J. Manuel. Guys have got presence in the NFL, as NFL quarterbacks. Jameis Winston can obviously play. He didn't present himself that way, though. In that poll, I don't think he did himself any favors.
He's 20 years old.
And he was 19. I mean, let's face it, he turned 20 the day of the game.
Yeah, he's been through that kid's been through a lot. Now, a lot ahead of because of what his own doing, but give the kid. I'm going to cut him some slack. I think I'm not going to sit here and say, "Am I listening to English?" as Dee Bonner, the mother of A.J. McCarron, which I thought was completely inappropriate.
I kind of thought it had to be asked. Like it or not, Stevie, New Year's resolutions this year.
I'm making a New Year's resolution. Now, you'd think that it might be a resolution to maybe not watch as much sports on TV, but I kind of blew that when I found myself watching the entire Compass Bowl on January 4th. But I am making a New Year's resolution that has to do with sports. I'm vowing in 2014 to let my wife have the big TV every once in a while.
No.
Invariably, I'll come marching in the middle of Grey's Anatomy. I got to see how Syracuse is doing, and bless her heart, she'll always let me do it. But I've decided she can have all the Downton Abbey she wants, mainly because there's nothing on Sunday nights. But I'm vowing to let my wife have the big TV, and I will go upstairs and watch stuff on the little TV.
It's so big of you.
It's huge.
I'm impressed.
Was the Compass Bowl real? Was that a real bowl?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I missed that one. We have unfinished business when we return. Welcome back. This is the Rochester Press Box from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the historic Garage Door Restaurant, East Ridge Road in Irondequoit.
Does it smell great in here or what? I mean, come on.
Unbelievable.
I have to say, and I wouldn't kick for a place that I didn't really believe. That the food here is magnificent.
That's fabulous.
I mean,
John's have probably had more of it than anyone I know.
The Meat Lovers Calzone is the best meal going in town. One of the best. No, it's a BCS type of bowl. It's a BCS meal.
Unfinished business, my friend.
I want to tip my cap to Bill O'Brien. I want to thank Bill O'Brien. A lot of my fellow Penn State alum and fans have been all over Bill O'Brien since he announced he's leaving to the Houston Texans. But I would like to salute the man who, as far as I'm concerned, saved the Penn State program. The NCAA wanted to see him fail. A lot of the pro-paternal people wanted to see him fail. And all he did in the eye of this massive storm was restore the program, win, and did it in a paternal-type way on the field. They won with honor, and he took the high road every step of the way. He has made Penn State now a point of destination. He's now made Penn State and a lot of us fans and alum proud again of our football program and, more importantly, our school. So I want to thank Bill O'Brien. He wasn't destined for 4 or 5 years at Penn State. Would I like to see him coach Christian Hackenberg the next 3 years? Do it on a full 85 scholarship level on the likes of all the other schools? Sure. But he gave us 2 years, and 2 years, my friend, was plenty. Thank you so much. Whoever gets the next job is coming into a much better situation because of those players, and more importantly, because of Bill O'Brien.
I likened it to a guy running into a burning building, putting out the fire.
Yeah.
Okay, he's leaving the rebuilding of that building to somebody else, but I agree.
Amazing what he was able to do. He won 15 games in 2 years. Many felt it would take him 5 years to win 15 games.
And Billy, a good Boston boy, too, by the way.
There you go.
Somerville, Mass.
That's the only knock against him. The only knock, House.
All right, you've already mentioned Steve Grogan, so you're up for that. What do you got?
I hope PGA golfers realize how good they have it. Now, every athlete has it great food, first-class travel, go to great places and play sports that they love. But look at the PGA. They've started their tour in Hawaii. Last week in Maui, they're in Honolulu this week. Next week, they go to Southern California for a while, then it's Arizona, then it's Florida, and it's just February. They have it made, playing the sport they love. I don't know what's better, being a PGA golfer or maybe going on a retirement trip as a Mega Millions winner. I would take either, but let's face it, I'll probably never get to do neither.
I would take either too, I guess.
Sign me up for either one.
Man.
Mike?
We've already talked about this year's Heisman winner, Jameis Winston. I'm going to talk about last year's Johnny Manziel. He's going to the NFL. He's declaring for the draft, and he's going to play. And he normally would not be the kind of guy I think would succeed. But I'm going to say it now. I've been saying it leading up to it. If you're a team that needs a quarterback, take Johnny football. He may not be great every week. He may not be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, one of those guys, but I think he's going to be must-see TV in the NFL. I'm telling you, he's got a little bit of Flutie, a little bit of Favre, a little bit of Russell Wilson. You're going to want to watch him out on the field. There's going to be times it's a disaster. There's going to be times he takes a big hit, but I think the team that takes him with the right coach is going to love that they have him on the team. He can be a bit of a jerk. We know that. Guess what? There's a lot of guys in the NFL that can be jerks. Take Johnny pro football. You'll be happy.
So it'll be like watching Tiger Woods. When he's doing great, you love it. When he implodes, you love it.
Must-see TV.
All right, great.
First overall, we know Houston's looking at quarterbacks.
Bill O'Brien.
I don't think he doesn't fit what Bill O'Brien wants to see at quarterback. I think Jacksonville, Oakland, or Cleveland. Or Minnesota. I don't think he gets out of the top 10.
All right, we saw a lot of great football this past weekend. And first, I have two thoughts about it. First, I think we're getting almost numb to great football games. When Florida State got 21-3 behind Auburn, I fully expected them to get back into the game and to have this game live up to the hype. Didn't see the ending necessarily coming out the way it did, but it was an amazing football game. We saw the Colts beat the Chiefs with this amazing, 28 points from behind?
Yep.
Amazing football game. He says, man, when was the last time we saw that? Well, it was just a few weeks before when the Patriots did the same thing to the Broncos on a Sunday night. There was one other thing that was a little more troubling to me that I saw. With all the hundreds of football games that I've watched over the years, I saw two calls, rules interpretations that I've never seen before. The first was in that college game where when they fielded the punt, the guy covering the punt was allowed to stand in the end zone and swat the ball back.
I saw that, yeah.
It was explained to me, he says, well, that's a college rule, you can do that. I says, well, in all the games I've seen, I've never seen that. And then in the pro game, there was a pass play, I think it was in the Colts game, where the wide receiver caught the ball and retreated to go out of bounds, and they kept the clock running. Guy's standing out of bounds, he's not out of bounds. I've never seen that call made before. I says, the answer is either twofold. It's either I've got to watch more football, and I don't think that's the case. Or the other one is we had Sal sitting in Steve's seat not too long ago saying football needs to take the rule book and just throw it out the window and start all over again. I've come to agree with Sal. We record the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's at the Garage Door every Wednesday at 12:30. We invite you to come down, watch the show, have lunch with us. Guys, great job.
Billy?
Mike?
Thanks.
Steve?
It's always a pleasure, believe me.
Steve Grogan?
I love it.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again here next week.